I'm Desi Eckstein, and today we are going to go over a basic introductory tutorial for Pix4D Mapper, and we'll be working through step 1, the initial process. So the first thing that we're going to do is start a new project, and up here I'll give it a name. And the next line down is our folder that we're going to be creating it in, and I like to put mine specific to the client that I'll be working with. So you can scroll down to wherever you want to put it. I will find my folder. I'm going to choose the Congress. And I don't want to make this the default location because for every client I'm going to make it different anyways. And we'll be doing a new project as opposed to merging two projects. That we can do on a different tutorial. So we're just going to go over the basics on this one. So I'm going to hit next. And here we have options. We can either add just this specific images that we want to bring in. We can actually bring in the entire directory, or we can even add it as a video. For this particular project, we're just going to be adding the images. So it will bring up our folder that we're working from, and as you can see, I have a folder here with my images. Today we're going to be working with the orbits that were taken from this project. So I will click on that. And once they are shown here, if you haven't already done so, you can take a look through your images and make sure they are all images that you would want to bring in, and if they look okay. I'm working off of a PC, so I'm going to select Control A to select them all, and then I'll open them up. It's going to populate all the images that we have chosen. And then we'll click next, and it's going to bring in the information. This screen is showing us the image properties, and so here's the coordinate system that it was finding from the information from the images. Also, here is the camera model that it found from the images that we have taken. Pix4D is a very powerful system, and the software can actually be modified. So you could go in here and do some editing. You can edit the EXIF files, you can edit the cameras, but for this tutorial we're just going to go through the basics. So again, here's the images that it found and the detailed information about those images. We'll click next. So this is the coordinate system that we'll be working with. We want to change this to say feet, not metric, and everything else in here we will leave as our defaults. More detailed tutorial, we can go over some of the details for here, but changing it for right now, we're just going through the basics, and we like what Pix4D has chose for us. So we're going to click next. This is where you don't want to be click happy because it's working in the background, and so just give it a second. I have several programs that are up, so it is going to take a bit for it to bring all the information in. All right, so once it's brought in our information from the images, now we can choose a template. So there's some choices here that we have. If you go with the standard, that will give you the best quality. However, they do take longer to process. So if you're working for a client, I would suggest you would go with the standard options. For what we are doing today, we're going to use the rapid low res because we just want to get the information out there. We want to go through it and take a look at what we have for the output. And we have some choices. We could either do it as a map, a model, or as a AG. And for this particular one, if you remember right, we did an orbit. So what we want to do is we choose the 3D model, rapid low res, and it brings up some information about the template that we chose. And this is the template that we want to go with. So we want to make sure down here that we don't start processing, because we are going to go in and kind of go through the processing options. So from here, we're going to just click on the finish. All right, so the next screen that pops up is our map view. And I had some technical glitches, so I had to reinstall the Pix4D mapper, but I am right back on track here with the map view showing in the background. So I had to do an update on my software. So when you get to the screen, what you see here is all of these are in red, meaning they have not been completed at this point. And we want to go down to the lower left-hand corner and hit the processing options, and you'll have this pop-up screen. If you notice, these two options are checked. We want to uncheck step 2 because we are only going to be doing the initial processing for this tutorial. So the initial process is the base of your project. It's taking the key points and making automatic type points. So we want to make sure that the step 2 and 3 are not checked at this point. We had chose to do a rapid template, so that populated in, and you can generate an orthomosaic preview. We like to have the quality report pop up, and if you uncheck this, it won't generate this. Depending on your outcome that you're looking for, it will actually take a little bit longer, and if it's not needed at this point, your quality report will pop up, but the orthomosaic won't be included, which for us, for what we're doing, we don't need to see that part of it at this point. We have a whole tutorial on the quality report, so at this point, we're not going to dive deep into that. And I'm going to pull this screen down because sometimes it doesn't show me all the options. If your screen does not have the 3 tabs at the top, you would come down to the bottom of your screen and toggle your advanced on, and if you see, you'll have all of a sudden you'll get your 3 options for a tab at the top. We have the matching, and we're working on our orbit. Had we been doing our grid, we would have had the top one shows, and then calibration. We are just going with all of the defaults here because this is just the basic getting started with the Pix4D. We're not diving deep into it. So for this, we're good with our choices. We've unchecked the step 2 and 3, and so we're okay with this. And now we will go ahead and hit start, and it'll take a little while to do our processing, certainly not as long as step 2 and 3. So we'll go ahead and start our process. When we are done with the initial processing, your quality report will be popped up for you. And when you're doing this for a job, you would definitely want to take a look at this and get some of the details from it. It will go over how it was processed, how you can improve it. There's a lot of important information that is displayed here. For the sake of this tutorial, we're not going to be going into the quality report. There is one other thing that I wanted to show you really quick. Like if you were in your processing options, if you click on this last option down here, if you are not wanting to utilize the full capacity of your RAM and your CPU on your computer, you can actually pull these down some. Now, bear in mind, that's going to make your processing take longer, and but it will allow you to maybe do some multitasking. And then another thing that I like to do is send me an email. So especially on steps 2 and 3 when they take longer, that way I don't have to be sitting here checking my computer all the time. It'll actually send me an email and tell me when it's complete. So those are some options that you may want to check as you move forward with your processing. You can do that before you do your initial processing. I just wanted to show you that option. So we'll click OK. So now that we're at this point, we've done our initial processing. If you can see down here, it's green showing what ones have been done and red for the ones that haven't been done. When you're in this screen, we have our map view, our ray cloud, which we'll come right back to. The top menu has our project information where you can import GCPs. You can go back and take a look at the images that you've imported. Obviously save. It talks about the coordinate system. So there's some information in there that you may find useful. After we do a few edits here, we're going to actually mark some GCPs or manual time points, and after we've done that, we'll want to come back through and re-optimize, and so that's just going to tighten up our map just a little bit better. And then if you wanted to generate a quality report, so you have some more options in here. Our view, our map view, this is where if we were going to do a processing area before we do our process, you can actually draw it or import it from a KML. For the sake of our program that we're doing right now, we just went with the basics. And so the next thing we want to click on is our ray cloud. And it brings up the image in here, and this is showing us where the camera angles are coming from. We can turn this off or turn this on. We can hide our rays if we wanted to. We don't have any GCPs in here. We will go through and mark some manual tie points. And because we haven't done step 2, we don't have a point cloud yet. Along here we have where you can do a processing area. So there's a couple different ways. Obviously you can do it as you create it, or you can come back in now and go and add that new processing area. And then this one is a scale constraint. And so some of these are actually going to be very, very helpful as far as really tightening up our project that we're working on. This is not something that we're actually going to be going through in this basic tutorial. You can add polylines, and then you can add surfaces. For what we are doing in this tutorial, the only thing that I really want to go through is adding your manual tie points, and then we'll re-optimize. So I recommend you use a mouse when working with the Pix4D mapper. So I'm using my mouse to roll in. I use my left mouse button. I can pull it towards me. I could go left right with it. If I use my right mouse button, it will enlarge it or pull it away. And then the one that I use the most, although there's other ways to do it, I use left-right mouse, and now I can rotate it around. So here's the Congress project that we're working on. Here's our list of automatic tie points in here, and if we wanted to see it in a little bit bigger, we can. So it looks pretty messy and noisy right now, and part of that is because we didn't do a processing area, so it's got a lot of this noise around the outer edge. But what we're going to work on is adding a manual tie point. So if we are to come in here and click on a pixel, it'll populate onto our right hand side here, And you can see where it brought this in. It talks about the automatic tie point, and you can, with this right here, you can increase or decrease our image. And then this one will also bring it as a zoom level right here. So if you notice when I hover over this one on the image, the box turns orange. So if I hit my space bar, it will actually let me move into that image. And so if we wanted to do a manual tie point, what I think I would like to do is just pull a couple off of the top of the roof. And see if it's somewhere that I would like to bring in a manual tie point. I hit my space bar. I'm liking it on the corner. You would want something that is stationary and something that is got a sharp angle and you can see it from multiple views. So actually I think what I want to do is come back out and I'm going to pick this down in here. So I'm going to come back down here. So I get that part of my roof line, and I can still see the corner edge of this roof line right here. So I think this is good enough. This is actually where the image is focused on, but I can create a manual tie point because I'm close enough to where I need to be. So to create your manual tie point, you would click this button right here. It says new tie point. And they'll be numbered NTP 1, 2, 3 as you go through. You can rename them. If you're going to be merging two files, which we are not with this basic step 1 tutorial, you want to make sure that you're very precise with the capitalization and the spelling, because you will be doing the same name in both projects when you start to merge. Okay, so for this, we will call this Rust Roof. And now what we want to do is come down here and we will hit the space bar, and I'm going to zoom in very, very tight, and look how pixelated it gets. Well, you want to do the best you can to find where that image will be fine-tuned. So now I'm going to hover over the next image. And again, I know about my areas right here. It's going to get pixelated, but I still want to go to as close to the end as I can. And now what's going to come into play here is this end button will say focus on this selection. So if I click on that, if you notice, Pix4D has done a fabulous job and found that area on multiple images. So when you're doing manual tie points, you want to make sure that you at least 8 to 12 of them. So in my mind, I go with 10. But sometimes you can't. And it's also good to get various images of them. So we're going to pick the ones here. Okay, that works. I'm going to move it up a little bit. And as you go through them, see how it's yellow? That means that we've used this one. This has the manual tie point marked in this image. So here's one that we can come to. And again, when you're doing this for a precision type thing, you will want to make sure that you've really zoomed in on it. For what I'm trying to do today, I think you'll understand, and I don't need to go through the process of getting all of them, but I'll get enough of them that we get through. And now I'm going to apply. And if you notice, over here, I have Rust Roof, and I have 7 of them marked. So we'll continue to mark the manual type points. And I'm going to be good with 8 of them for this process. I need to drop this back down. I'm going to apply that last one. I'm going to go do another one. So let's do it at the back of the building. Let's see where this comes in. That's not the back of the building. There we go. Okay, we're going to go with that one. Manual type point. Back roof. Oh, and I capitalized that one. I'm not going to. And let's apply. Got 9 on that one. All right, so I'm going to do the same process for 2 more, and then I will circle back. So I will put this on pause for just a bit while I go through and do that. Okay, so I have now marked 4 of my manual type points. And there's some other things that I could do in there to tighten up a project if I wanted to. You can put in scale constraints, and that way if you do a measurement, the Pix4D program will know exactly how what the distance is between the 2 points. So there's some other things that you can do to really tighten up your project. Right now we're just going with our manual type points, and now you want to re-optimize. And the reason we want to do that is it's going to go through and regenerate it and pull all the images together, the type points together, and tighten up our project. Okay, looks like we're all done, so we will dismiss this, and it puts us back to the screen where our cameras are on. We'll bring this down. I'll turn off the cameras, and if you notice, we have these points on here, and what they are is our manual type points. And if you happen to click on one, you'll see that it changes colors, and it will bring them up, the images that were used on the right hand side. So with this, we want to save our project, and we will prepare for step 2 in the next video. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any questions.